Hi, this is Lou, and I'm going to speak briefly about the Anna Karenina principle as it applies to games. A friend introduced me to this Anna Karenina principle. It's so named because Leo Tolstoy, in his novel Anna Karenina, begins with, quote, "All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way," unquote. In other words, for some purposes, a set of characteristics is required where every one of those characteristics must be present, as in the characteristics of a happy family. As an example, Jared Diamond, in his book Guns, Germs, and Steel, lists 6 requirements to enable an animal to be domesticated. If any one of those 6 is not present, then the animal cannot be widely domesticated. There can be individual exceptions. And this is enumerated in Wikipedia's description of the principle. So I soon asked myself, is this true of games? Is there some set of characteristics that must be present for a game to be successful, or for a game to be a game at all? And the brief answer is no. Now, why not? I think it's because the preferences of gamers are so diverse that it's impossible to need the same thing for every game. Or if you can make a list, it's a very, very, very broad list. Heck, many people cannot agree on a definition of game, let alone what's required. Is a game just any way to organize play? Well, that's one kind of game, but not the kind that I talk about on this channel. Does it require active opposition? Well, I think so, but a lot of people don't. What about player interaction? I think there needs to be a lot of player interaction, but some people don't like to be bothered by the other players. They don't want interaction. And then we say, what's the difference between a puzzle and a game? Puzzles have always been more important or more popular than games, but what's the difference? Well, I suppose you can say that some puzzles that have only one always correct solution rather than several do use the Anna Karenina principle. You have to follow an exact set of moves and plays. However, that's sequential. And the Anna Karenina principle is for simultaneous requirements. So I don't think that's what the AKP is really about. Now, while reading about this, I was also led by Wikipedia to another interesting law, quote unquote. This is Lubig's law of the minimum, which is growth is dictated not by total resources available, but by the scarcest resource, which is a limiting factor. That's from Wikipedia. Originally, this was applied to plant growth. A rough analog in other things is a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Does this apply to games? Well, perhaps it does if big enough categories are used, but I haven't found a practical point of view for it. So this is food for thought. If I worked at it, I might find some examples in games, but they'd be too broad to be of much use. Thanks for listening.